Alright, ladies and gentlemen, MrSotko here. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about the confirmed Antminer E3 Ethereum ASIC miner. So it was going around the internet, and I made a video on it that the speculation was that it was going to be the Antminer F3, which, looking back on that in retrospect now, that doesn't make any sense, the F3. So E3 makes a lot more sense. We got it. Okay, so there was a lot of speculation on the hash rate and how much power it would take, all this sort of thing. None of it was, there was no actual information out there, but now there is. And as you can see, it costs $800 US, which is somewhat moderate for Bitmain's usual prices. It can be bought in both Bitcoin Cash and US dollars anymore. As for a while, all of their ASIC miners were only available in Bitcoin Cash. And that was probably for various shilling reasons, because Jihan Wu is good friends with Roger Ver, and so that makes a lot of sense. Now, beyond that, so it does hash Ethereum, of course. Obviously, its power consumption is 800 watts, which is not particularly high for an ASIC miner, as the S9 can take like 1450 watts or something like that. So it's definitely been scaled down quite a bit, and its hash rate is 180 megahash. So the real question is this worth it? And is this going to kill GPU mining? Well, yes and no. I think it's going to raise the difficulty quite a bit of Ethereum, and so as a GPU miner, you will feel a little bit of pressure from this device. However, killing it, I'm not so sure about that, but you will get less profits over time because of these devices being turned on in the future, within a few months here, because they don't ship till the 16th to the 31st of July. So they won't actually even make it to your house for a few months. So we all have a good few months of Ethereum GPU mining until thousands and thousands of these get plugged in, and then the hash rate will go through the roof total in Ethereum pools. So now 180 megahash is not that impressive, so let's just see how impressive that is. On a mining calculator here, 180 megahash is about $6.33 a day. Pretty lame, to be totally honest. However, is this efficient? So the other question is, is it worth it? Is it efficient? Well, if you think about it, $800 is not that expensive. So, you know, if we take this into like a GTX 1080 Ti, I'm aware that AMD Vega 64s are a little bit better at Ethereum mining than the 1080 Ti series. So, for example, an AMD 64, Vega 64, mines at about, I think, 40 megahash or 42, something like that, and without being overclocked or anything like that. So, you know, these are just base values, and the GTX 1080 Ti is about 35 megahash. So, and those, the GTX 1080 Ti takes about 250 watts. So 3 GTX 1080 Ti's would mine at about 105 megahash or so, and take about 750 watts. Now, that's not counting the rest of your computer, like your motherboard, your CPU. Hard drives usually only take a few watts or something like at best. But total, you would be pushing well over 800 watts with 3 1080 Ti's and the rest of your computer functioning as well. So that would equal to about 105 megahash. And of course, that's going to run you way, way, way more than $800. For example, MSRP value of a 1080 Ti is like 700. We'll call it 700 bucks, 800 bucks, depending on the model that you buy. However, good luck finding them at that price. Anymore, they're about $1,000 to $1,300 each for the 1080 Ti. A little bit less for some of the other lower models. So you could easily be pushing for a rig with 3 1080 Ti's. If we call it at about $1,000 per card, you're looking at a minimum of $3,000 for that rig. Maybe you already had a rig. Maybe you have to buy the rest of the parts of the rig, what have you. So $3,000 to even $4,000 for a rig with 3 1080 Ti's in it. Maybe you bought the 1080 Ti's a while back, but even still, a good $3,000 to mine less than this miner actually mines. So it is an efficient miner for sure. 180 megahash for just $800 is actually pretty good. However, right now mining profits are at an abysmal low, and at only about $6.33 a day today, you know, you would certainly get your profit back within 120 days or so. It would take a little over 100 days, of course, to get that back, but that's not too bad in terms of rate of return and things like that for graphics cards and miners. Not bad at all. However, I don't really care for Antminer. I don't care for ASICs all that much because of what they do to GPU mining and sort of segregate GPU miners and centralize the mining itself. Fortunately, this is not that powerful. However, what you have to realize is that the 16th to the 31st of July means that that's going to be a few months out till they even ship. So you might not even get these till August. And by then, who knows what the Ethereum mining price will be. Maybe crypto prices will be really high by the time this actually gets out, and you might make more than $6.33 a day in terms of the fiat relative calculation. Maybe Bitcoin goes back up to 20,000 by August. Who knows? And then that would put Ethereum at well over $1,000, and you might actually be making $15 or more or $20 a day on this miner. Or if crypto prices stay the same and difficulty continues to increase over time, you'll actually be making less than $6 a day. So is this a good investment? Personally, I'm not going to be buying one, but I can see why people might want to be buying these. Again, you also have to consider that ASIC miners are very loud fans. So I don't know the decibels of this, but if you actually YouTube or watch a video or what have you of an S9 Antminer, for Bitcoin, they are incredibly loud. I attribute them to a vacuum cleaner. That's how loud they are. They are incredibly loud, running 24/7 in your house. So a lot of people build a little shed inside of their basement, or they put them in their attic, or they put them out in a shed, or something like that. They keep them away from the house as far as possible, or contained in some kind of container to reduce the noise. So a lot of power usage, a lot of noise. You're going to have to run cables, all that sort of thing. So is this worth it? Not really sure, to be totally honest. At right now, if you just had one and all it costed you was $800, yeah, it's profitable, but you know, who knows in the future by the time this ships. So you're going to pay them $800 now, but in 3 months, who knows what the price of Ethereum is going to be? Who knows how profitable mining is going to be? Is it going to be more or less? Not really sure. I am a positive kind of guy, a bullish guy, so I would imagine it will be actually more profitable in a few months, but with difficulty, it's really hard to say. So let's take a look at some prices here. Prices are going up pretty well and staying there for now at $132. Just you know, a little bit just about a day ago or so, we were looking at it in the 120s for Litecoin. Bitcoin hasn't been moving up as much, so if we pull back the hour here, we are up a decent amount. The other day at about 9 a.m. we were at our low, 64.56, and now we're up at 7,395. So not too bad there. We're nearly at about $1,000 in, you know, somewhere around a day. So not too bad, and it's staying up there for now. Pulling it all the way back to the 1 day. The EMAs are just now starting to turn around a little bit, and they might be doing that a little bit more on Litecoin because the price is up quite a bit and just now starting to level out. So that is a good sign that we have reached the bottom, but it's not over yet, kids. It's not over yet, Snake. So stick in there, keep mining, keep buying, and the price will keep going up. So Ethereum ASICs are here, and so what it means and what's next. So ASIC resistant no more. The question circulating Tuesday in the wake of the news of Bitmain, the China-based maker of hardware specialized for cryptocurrency software, had developed a new ASIC mining chip designed specifically to process Ethereum transactions and claim the protocol's rewards. So Bitmain confirmed the release of its Antminer E3 chips, which will retail for $800, in a tweet that broke what had been weeks of speculation that it would soon launch such a product, one that ran counter to statements from company officials to CoinDesk even hours before. Still, for Ethereum's developers and users, the news wasn't exactly a surprise. It had been long theorized, even in creator Vitalik Buterin's earliest blog post, that no algorithm for managing mining rewards would remain immune to ASICs forever. I mean, you really just got to add some RAM to it for Ethereum. I mean, you think it's ASIC resistant, but we're going to need a little bit more, you know, if you keep juking the algorithm and you keep making a different algorithm every time, yes, you can juke ASICs. But really, Ethereum, the reason why it was ASIC resistant is honestly because it requires RAM to, to hold the DAG. And, ASICs just weren't built with RAM, without a lot of memory anyway. I think the S9 has like 512 megabytes of RAM. So you just need a lot to do it. And, you need the cost to do it, and you need cost to go down. So it can be done. Still, for Ethereum's developers and users, the news wasn't exactly surprising. We already read that. Over time, Buterin's arguments was that innovations would prevail, try as developers might to keep their code optimized for general-purpose computers. Yet Ethereum developers have been quietly building defenses for the future, long promoting design choices intended to protect the blockchain against hardware meant to consolidate rewards in the hands of companies or individuals capable of operating at scale. So as such, some have even gone so far as to propose further changes following the day's news. Such a step, a radical reworking of the software to render the new hardware unusable, might seem extreme if that weren't becoming the norm among cryptocurrencies. Already, Monero and Siacoin, two smaller cryptocurrencies, are taking steps to propose a change to its software that would effectively block efforts by Bitmain to grow its business there. As for the impact on Ethereum, however, much remains unclear at the moment. For one, there are doubts in the Ethereum community that Bitmain's mining chip is capable of significant performance increases, ones that would, say, be so pronounced that they would inspire the widespread adoption of the hardware in the way Bitcoin's ASIC replaced hobby miners. Further, there's the Ethereum technical roadmap, which already includes a planned shift away from proof-of-work system that today enables mining at all. Indeed, Buterin has remained silent on the launch, though in his past remarks he's mainly focused on the idea that the impact of such an innovation is likely to be short-lived. Speaking in a developer chat in February, Buterin wrote, "I'm not convinced it's worth expending resources caring too much. Expect to push faster on Casper." So, poisoning the well. Stepping back, it's important to understand Ethereum's mining algorithm and the platform's historical attitudes toward the practice of mining, a mechanism it has always aimed to eradicate entirely. Prior to the launch of the platform, a method for staving off the use of mining hardware even made it into the Ethereum white paper, in which developers were encouraged to seek to analyze ASICs so as to render their ability to more quickly capture protocol rewards moot. Engineers can analyze existing ASICs, determine what their optimizations are, and dump transactions into the blockchain that such optimizations simply don't work, Buterin wrote. However, due to security reasons, the initial methods described were spiked. Instead, developers implemented a proof-of-work algorithm similar to the one used in Bitcoin, named Ethash. The algorithm differs from Bitcoin's, though, in that rather than being suited for computationally intensive hardware like ASICs, it requires a lot of memory. This means that regardless of whether it's mined on an ASIC or a GPU, both devices are necessarily encumbered by the storage requirements. This definition is important. It's not clear whether Bitmain's E3 ASIC has broken this fundamental aspect of Ethash. Speaking to Coinbase, or CoinDesk, developer Nick Johnson said the ASIC doesn't seem to have achieved any improvements that would qualify it as having achieved a performance boost much higher than the GPU cards used today. Looks like they're basically just making a pile of special-purpose GPUs with a high amount of memory in a case, he told CoinDesk, which is basically an ASIC already. So, I mean, honestly, all you have to do is just add a bunch of RAM to the ASIC, essentially, and then you have yourself an Ethereum miner. It's just, I think it took a while for Bitmain to actually make this because of the profits. I think they needed, it's sort of like when how Walmart can sell things so cheaply, right? It's more like, it's like economy of scale, right? If you just have a few things, you need to sell them for a high price. But if you have millions and millions of things, you can sell them for very low price, because when people come in to buy one thing, of course they're going to buy 6 other things. You can't walk into a department store and then walk out with just one thing, right? Every time you're walking down the aisle, you're like, man, I need one of those, right? I don't know why, but I'm going to need that. And then you're walking, you're like, I can't buy anything else. And you're like, whoa, look at this over here in the electronic department. I can't live without this. So, economy of scale. So, when they're making all these ASIC miners and making millions and millions, possibly billions of dollars, eventually they can make an ASIC miner and just afford to put in a whole bunch of RAM into it and be like, oh, look, Ethereum ASIC miner. Poop, out of nowhere. So, it looks like they're basically just making the pile of special purpose GPUs with a high amount of memory. Exactly. So, possible response. Still, given the stakes of the shift, there are potentially more aggressive methods to pursue, the most obvious of which would be a change in the Ethereum software to block Bitmain's miners. Developer sentiment concerning such a change has been heated, if inconclusive, spurred by long-held fears among developers about the profit-seeking behaviors of miners. So, they want to change or they're thinking about it rather, changing the software of Ethereum to block the miners. Here's the thing. So it's not a pile of special-purpose GPUs in an ASIC. An ASIC is not a GPU. An ASIC is an ASIC. It's just a chip. It's been programmed in a very specific way. And if you change something about the algorithm that it has to hash, it can no longer hash that algorithm. It has to do it in a very, very specific way. But it does it very efficiently. So the reason why your GPU could adapt to that sort of thing is because it's not an ASIC, and it can run information in various different ways. It's very dynamic, whereas an ASIC is just very static, and it will just run the same thing over and over. So, you know, yes and no on this little chunk of article here. Developer sentiment concerning such a change has been heated, if inconclusive. So I think I already read that. In a discussion on GitHub, a number of potential methods for blocking Bitmain's ASICs have surfaced, ones which in the coming days are likely to calcify into a formal strategy that could help keep Ethereum open to smaller miners and hobbyists. As one user wrote on GitHub, citing the centralization of Ethereum, if a hard fork can prevent them from doing so, at least until proof of stake becomes reality, then my vote is in favor of the hard fork. Brick 'em. As the comment provides evidence, even with an Ethereum protocol change coming soon to potentially abolish mining, a vocal majority of developers would also support a fork that seeks to keep barriers to entry for mining low. That's not to say that that there aren't those who see the matter differently. Speaking in a blog post, Cornell researcher and Ethereum enthusiast Phil Dayen warned that efforts to block Bitmain's participation is akin to censorship. I don't know about that. Indeed, this mirrors past counter-arguments that large-scale mining is kind of a co-opetition that, given its entrepreneurial nature, should be encouraged for the security it provides blockchains, even if it's at odds with the democratized access desired by developers. Still don't know about that. Others aren't as convinced. Indeed, some extreme protocols for preventing ASICs have surfaced, including possibly Ethereum could go as far as to mix multiple algorithms, though these have been largely dismissed as ill-conceived. One thing's for sure, however, tensions are high, even if formal action or indeed the basic facts of the situation are still coming into focus. According to the Bitmain site, the Ethereum ASIC miner mines at 180 million hashes per second, less than conventional GPU miners. However, some Ethereum users feel the numbers are flawed, writing that on GitHub the numbers have been fabricated. Still, much won't be known until the units ship. So less than conventional GPU miners? No. Maybe a GPU rig, if you have like 10 GPUs in there, yes. But individual GPUs, it stomps them into the ground. There is no GPU in the world that mines at 180 megahash. Like I said, the best one we got now is the AMD 64, and then there's the GT 102-100, if I said that correctly. There's all these weird numerical, and that's the essentially the mining version of the 1080 Ti that has its CUDA cores cut out a little bit, and its hash rate is supposed to be 47 megahash for Ethereum. So no, conventional GPU miners, maybe if you pluralize it, yes. But individually, they are much more powerful. I would say on the order of, nearly 6 times as powerful as any GPU. And with only 800 watts, it is much more efficient as well. However, in the future, is it going to be worth it to buy this? Not really sure, because with GPUs, if you have a GPU rig and Ethereum becomes unprofitable, you can just switch it. You can switch it to EcoHash or Kryptonite or whatever you need to and mine something different. With an ASIC, you cannot. If Ethereum goes to proof of stake in the future and you bought 10 of these, they're all going to be useless. If Ethereum decides to brick ASICs and just create a small little hard fork that just barely changes the algorithm, doesn't really change the coin at all, but just really kind of changes the algorithm a little, does a little skip, if you will, these are useless. So it's up to you guys if you want to buy one. I will be staying away, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Not really going to get into the other articles at the moment. Not too crazy. nothing too special. But this one went on long enough. I just wanted to talk about the Ethereum miner. But I hope you guys have a good one.